This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So generally, so we are working in any one of the project, or managers are there, employees are there, so many people are there. They want to see their task because they are working on a couple of things, multiple things. But instead of going to tempo, instead of going to task tag to see one by one, they want complete a report because they can see simply from where they want to go with the task details. Each task they want to see, they want to complete the pending task and all. In that case, for them, you have to build a task report. Okay, to get the all the task details for the particular user or particular, because you can give the filters wherever it is required. So to get all the details, you can use the task report generally. Here, so whenever you go with the task report, first what you need to create, you need to create a process report. Go to new and process report. We need to create. Yesterday we created already. So when you are creating a process report, but your main motto is you want to get all the task details. For that, you have to select the type called report is a task type. You need to select the report type as task type. Okay. Once you select this one, so here you can select all the tasks or else particular user only you want to give, then only you can use. It's up to you. Like either you can go with one or you can go with this one. So here, one main advantage, like when you go with all the tasks, you will get all. So no. Okay. So here, let's see how to create it. Already we created yesterday. Okay. So we created this kind of report. Already it's there. We are storing into the particular folder. Okay. So that is a task details. Okay. So now I want to get all these details. I want to give access to the end user. Directly, I cannot give this one, right? Because it is for developer purpose you have created. You want to give it in a report format to the end user. Further, to read this report, for example, generally to read the data from the database, what you have to use? You have to use query entity. Okay. Generally, to get the details from the database tables, we can use query entity. Similarly, you have created a task report. That is a document, .arf document. Okay. One document is stated. To read this document, because from the table you can read using a query entity. Similarly, you want to read, you want to understand what the document is there. That is a report document. To read the document, you can use one more function called query process analytics. We have in function query process analytics. I'll show you that. Okay. So how can we use that? Means first you need to create one interface. Let's create one interface. Okay. Okay. Save that interface. Okay. So here you have created an interface. Now instead of going to the design mode, you have a pattern. Let's see, a task pattern is there, and from the patterns you can select that. So we will see that later. Okay. First go with expression. Okay. You know how to use a local variable. You can use local variables function. A bank local variables. Okay. First you want to. I want to read my report. Local bank report. You can give any name. It's your wish. I want to give my report. So I want to read the report. First, I said what we have to use? Query process analytics. The function we have to use query process analytics. This is the function to read your report. See here, it is expecting multiple parameters, which parameter, which users, which query, but right now it's not required for you. Let's only go with a report. Basic level report. So report, how can I call that report? The report already is created like this. Can I call that report directly? No. So for that, you have to use one constant. Click on the new, go to the constant. Whenever you are not able to call any object or any rule, you have to use a constant. I am creating a constant. Okay, here what you have to select, that is important. The report has created which? A document type. Report created as a document type. You have to select a document. See, this is a proof. Like when you select the document type, we are seeing all the reports. Okay, the report you created yesterday, but still it is created as a document. To read the document, you need a function. But to call that document, that is a report indirectly, I can say. To call that report or to call this document, you don't have a direct option. You need to create a constant. So let's create it. We have created a constant now. Now you can see in the report, you can call the constant. Okay, got constant. Means you are calling the report. After that, you can give one paragraph field just for display purpose. Because one local variable, multiple expressions you can give. Here I want to give the value. See, the report is returning this much of data. First, you need to understand what that report is giving to you. Then you have to write your own code. So to do that, first I'm using this function. This is very, very important. Query process analytics. This function will be used to read the report. Because I need a task details. I want to display to the end user. That is the reason I am using this one, query process analytics. Okay, paragraph field you can use just for display purpose. And you can copy this entire what it is returning exactly and paste in your notepad. Okay, here you should understand what it is returning exactly. That is very, very important. Without this understanding, if you go with the report, it won't work. Okay, so wherever you get this requirement, first you can understand like this. First you can read the first you can create a report, process report, which is a type of task. Then create a constant for that report and use this function and get the data and just display the data, get the output and understand what it is returning exactly. Then you can build your own interface. Here you have a start index, batch size means every time 25 details we are getting it. Total how many we have? 512. Okay. After that we have a data. Data we have multiple. See, I'm just separating each data. Okay, we have multiple data like this here. First row, second row, third row, like we have multiple rows for the data. Okay, so after the data, what we have in the below, just go. So here data is ended here. Then here we have given identifiers. Means for each task we have one unique ID. So that IDs we are getting it. Okay, the name of your task report which you have created yesterday, process report, right? The description you have not given and column configuration, what you have given the columns. See, first column, second column, third column. Okay, so by seeing this you can understand very clearly. Okay, so the report is returning the name of the task and status of the task, from which process the task is there, what is the start time of it, what is the task ID. So you can understand like this. Total how many columns we have? 5. Okay, when you see the report, you have yesterday we have seen, right? So 5 columns. You want to add one more column also, you will add, you can get it here. Okay, so for the name, this is a label name, but to get the value, this is just a name, column configuration, just a name. Okay, for the label equal to name. For this name, for this field, what is the field? C0 is the field. See, when I highlight the C0, you can understand where and all the C0 values are available. See, clear. First, you should understand like how the report is returning. The report has two things. One is column detail. Column definition is like labels and all. For each column, for example, name, task name. For the task name, what is the field value? C0. Let's observe the C0. See, task name is A, here capture user, capture user, capture user, collect customer, collect customer. We have like this. Okay. So these are all C0, like status C1. Here internally it will maintain 1 and 0. We have to convert that. We'll see. And here process C2. Process name is CO onboard, CO onboard, CO on. Like this we have. Okay. So we have multiple details like this. So you need to understand for which label, which field is there. This is important for you. Okay. C0 is nothing but name. C1 equal to status. C2 equal to process. C3 start time. And C4 is your task ID. Clear? For each configuration, we have data. And identifier means for each task, we have a unique identification number. One identifier means unique identifier is there. So this is returning by this particular report. Okay. Hope you understood how to read your report. Once you get this done, first you need to display all your details. Okay. You are getting all these details. Okay. Fine. And here I'm just copying this entire. Okay. Copying this entire thing. Okay. Instead of this one, I want to use a grid field. Okay. I want to use a grid field. Okay. Yesterday someone was asking grids, right? So grid field I'm using, it is a read only grid. You can give anything, name should be ours. My task details. Okay, you can give that name. Okay, so now, so instruction, so many is there, nothing, all not required. I'm going with data directly in this. Okay, data directly in this. Because grid field will need a data to display. So data already you are getting from the query process analytics. I'm giving that it. Okay, I'm giving that data because I got a data now. So, but in the data, so you are just getting the report, but you need a query because it is also one kind of table or report. From in the table, when you are writing it, what is mandatory? Paging information is mandatory. Here also, paging information is mandatory in the query because you have one more option. Here you can write the query. The query should be written again, using a query function. Okay, you have to use. And in the query, which is important? Paging info important. Here we can use direct paging info by default. Okay. So within the grid, you can use FA bank paging. Automatically, it will handle the paging information details. Okay. So this is a small change you need to add when you are using in the grid. Okay. So you are getting the data. So two options are there. First, you tested the data, what is giving. So I want to display in a columns and rows order. That is the reason I'm using grid field. Just getting the data using a query process analytics. But to get the data, you won't display all. That is the reason I'm using paging info. Okay. So now you got the data. Within the grid, you have one more option called columns. Okay. You want to display multiple columns. I want to display multiple columns. To display each column, we have to use grid column. Okay, just for example, I want to use 3. It is divided into 3. See, 1, 2, 3. So for each column, you can give a name. Label should be your wish name. Okay. And second, you can give okay. Third, you can give okay. It's your wish. Here in the name, you can give value. Okay. So grid column label should be fine. Value should be you are getting all the data, right? In the for each loop, how we are using FE bank item here also FE bank row because you are getting multiple here. See, each row is having multiple. But what we need exactly? We need C0 dot C0. See, similarly, you can get C1, C2. Okay, so getting all the details. Clear, guys? You got all the details now. Simple. First, you need to understand the report, what it is returning. That report you have to use in the grid field. Means you want to display in the grid, it is a read-only grid. You can use grid field, which will take the label, and data is important here. Whatever the data you are getting from the report, that you have to get it here. So once you get the data, you can display obviously in your columns. So whatever the details are coming in, those details you can display here. Okay. So now it should be fine. Then you are getting the details, that should be fine. But here you want to give the link because if I display like this, there is no use. I want to give the link. Okay. For my particular task. To do that, we have an option called name, right? It is C0. Okay. So here, instead of value, you are giving directly, right? Instead of that, I want to give the link. Okay. To give the link, we can use link field. You know, already we have used link field in your records. Okay. So within the link field, you want to provide the links, multiple links. So here, link should be you are using a process report, right? Within the process report, you need to select the task. So for that, we have a one function called process task link. Remember the name of the function, process task link. Here you can get label should be yours, getting the link. But when I click on the link, it should navigate to the particular whatever you are clicking on it, right? For that, you can use okay. You can use here we have task, right? You can use FE bank identifier. Why I am using identifier? Maybe you'll get a doubt. When I click on this first one, so it should understand internally this task is for this particular ID. So in the report, you can see it is returning the identifier, unique identifier for each row. That's what I am using here identifiers. Okay. So now you can click on save. So right now I don't have multiple tasks. Like if I see any task, if I click on any task, it should open like this. If it is from one task, it is reassigned. You can assign to others or cancel it. Okay, it's all the tasks I can get it. Okay, now you have created a report. This report you can give access to the end user. But before going to this, so simple. Before going to this, you should give the status also. It's not good. You have to give a proper status. For example, you want to give a proper status. And when I select the status, you want to give the drop down also. There are a couple of examples I have given. So here I want to use two options. One is because local variables are there, right? I want to take two local variables. One is filter. Okay, I will take null. Initially, it should be null value. Okay, and I want to take one more local bank statuses. Okay, local bank statuses. You can select this two. Okay, statuses you can give multiple, but here we have to follow few things like one is assigned. Generally, we will go with the first one is assigned. Okay, second one is accepted. Generally, when the task is assigned, then second what you will do? You will do accept, right? Yes. Then once you will complete it, if it is accepted, and finally what it will do, if you are not doing anything, it should be not started. You have multiple, you can just cross check. Okay, so here I'm taking assigned, accepted, completed, and not started. Okay guys, so now these statuses I want to display instead of 1 and 0 and 4. Okay, instead of 1 and 0 and 4. To do that, so go to the, because you got all the statuses here. So now clearly you can understand in the columns. Okay, in the columns name is done, status, here status you have to display. Here instead of 1 and 0 you want to display directly. Okay, first thing you have to give a proper condition. Okay, so for that I am using a if condition. If is null, I'm using one more function, is null, this value is null. For example, whatever we are getting from the report, if it is null, it is, so you can use other, you can display other. If it is not null, if it is not null, okay, so means you have all the statuses here. Okay, but you need to get only, because you are getting number right here, one number, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So each number you have one more status. For that I want to use, to get the details from particular data, you can use index function. Okay, index function you have to use. Index will take the data where it is, all the statuses we have in the local bank statuses, you have that. Okay, so but here we are getting like assigned, accepted, those things, but I have a value, this one. Okay, but it will start from the 0. Okay, so I want to use from the 1, because this index will take from the 1. You can use +1. Okay, if nothing is there, if the value is not there, you can use other. Okay, you can use other. Okay, see what I'm doing here exactly. First I took few statuses, you can take the order, it's up to you. So once you take the statuses, here generally data is, this report is returning, when you go with the status, you can see that is returning zeros and ones. 1 is 0 is 1, 1 is accepted, like that we have. So here instead of displaying zeros and 1, it won't be understood, right? So instead of that, I'm just giving, if that thing is coming in with the value, I'm just displaying the other. Or else if it is not null, already I am giving a statuses. From the statuses, I am getting zeros and ones from the report. But 0 is not a starting point, 1 is a starting point. That is the reason I'm using +1. I'm using +1. My two integer I am converting, just I'm getting an outlook. If it is getting some value, it should be show. Again, if you convert to the two integer, it would be a proper number. +1 means it will start with the 1. If it is 0, 0 plus 1, 1. So it will search one index value in this one. What is the value of the 1? See, the first one is here. If you get the second number, second will return. Third number, third will return. Fourth number, fourth. So whatever the number is coming in the status, that number it will search, that index number it will search in your data that will return. If nothing is finding out, simple, it will return other. Initially it is zero, nothing is coming in. It is very null. It is also other you can display. Like this, you can display multiple statuses. Okay. On top of it, you want to write the filter also. Only you want to see accepted tasks, assigned tasks. Okay, that is also you can do. So to do that, first you have to use the filter. So let's don't get worried. Here, simple understand the things one by one. I'm going with. I'm not going with hurry. Okay. Here statuses is done. Here, so I want to select here. I want to use one drop down. Understand? Whenever I select this accepted, I want to display only accepted. Whenever I select the other, only should come other. To do that, first we need to use a drop down. First we need to use a drop down. So in the drop down, you have to mention like which values are there and how to do the filtering. Okay, these things first you need to understand with the proper drop down values. So to do that, go with a section layout, just because you needed two options. Section layout, I'm going with within the section layout, within the contents, I want to display one drop down along with the grid, because I want to divide this particular one. Okay, so here you can use one drop down. Okay, here you can use one drop down. So you want to use label should be status, you can give anything, it's up to you, the name, and within the drop down you have to use placeholder like okay, drop down is coming in. But values, from where you have to get the values? Values, choice, labels. Okay, and choice values. Okay, and when you store the value, where you want to store? Okay, where the one selected value will be there, right? That value should be local bank filter. Okay, and save into also local bank filter. Okay, that should be fine. But choice, because whenever you want to select the drop down, I think is there. When you select the value, I want to store into the one of the local variable that I have selected initially. So now, simple, you should understand. Okay. So choice labels should be your statuses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But whenever you select the assigned in the report, we don't have that. For the assigned, what it is there? C0 is there. Right, guys? Because see, values are zeros and ones. So here, one thing you should understand clearly. Whenever I select assigned, it should be 0. Whenever I select accepted, it should be 1. That should be selected. Means here choice value should be different and choice label should be different here. So here, in that case, what I have to do, I will use local band statuses. And here we have how many? We have 4 values, right? To get the each value, because order should be assigned, accepted, right? So for that, you can have one more function called enumerate. It will take any number. It will return from 0 to n minus 1 numbers. If I take 4, it will return 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that is the reason I took this. Means internally, when I select accepted, okay, that is the second one, right? Accepted means 0, 1, 1 number. It will indirectly, when I'm using this one, enumeration, it is returning like this. Indirectly, it should be like this. Instead of that, I'm just using a function. So when I select this, which one will be selected? Assigned will be selected. Okay, where it is stored, maybe you'll get a doubt. For that purpose, I want to print that local filter. See, when I selected accepted, what it is selecting? 1. See, in the top you can. When I selected completed, what you're selecting? 2. When I selected not selected, what is selecting? 3 is coming in. Okay, like this you can select. Now you are getting the value in your particular local variable. Got it? How to use, how to save the value based on a particular. Now you got the value, that should be fine. And you want to apply the filter now. You want to apply the filter now. Where you will write, you are getting the value here, that should be fine. Where you will write that filter. So filter you should write in your query. In the query, process analytics, you are writing the query, right? Within the query, you can write the filter now. Because here you should write the filter. Okay. So how can you write the filter? Using a query filter. Okay. So in the query filter, we have a field. Field should be which one? C1, right guys? C1 is the status. Okay. And operator should be equal to. Okay. Then the value should be local var filter. Okay. But sometimes initially when I go with this one, some value will come null, right? In that case, you have to ignore it. So here you can use apply when condition, because whenever you should, this filter should be applied. So is null of local band filter. Whenever the filter value is not null, then only you can use it. Like this you can use. First you are checking is null. Whenever it is not null, then only you can apply this filter. Okay, hope you understood. Like how we are getting it. Simple. First you can declare one dummy local variable. In the drop down, you can select what are the choice values we have and what are the numbers. Because why we are selecting this one means in the report we are getting zeros and ones, but end user won't understand if you display zeros and ones. I have to display assigned. Assigned nothing but 1. Sorry, 0 in the backend. Accepted 1, completed 2, not started 3, like this. So that is the reason for the end user it is required. But for internally what you are writing, it's up to you. So that is the reason for end user I'm displaying this one. In the backend, I'm selecting this value, I'm storing into this local filter. When I'm storing that internally, that value is the value, right? Whenever the value is there, I'm applying a filter here. Only when it is not null. Whenever it is not null, then I'm applying that filter. Okay, so like this you can do. Now save it. Okay, just you can select now only assigned. You'll get only assigned task. Got it? Click on it. It will open like this directly. But where it is opening, did you see? In the task tab. So now you have created your report. This report you need to give to the end user. So for that, you have to create a new. From there, click on the report. Here you can give okay. Select your interface. When you are creating a report, it will ask you which interface you want to create as a report. Okay. So in that, here we have an option save as a task report. You have to select the checkbox. These steps are very, very important, guys. Definitely they'll ask you, do you know about task report, how to create it? So from the starting process report, in the report type is the task. Once it is done, you have to write using query process analytics, understand the output, then display. No one will ask it this drop down and all, it's not required, but how to create it is very, very important. And once it is created, you have to select the report. In the report, you select this particular interface, which one you want to create as a task report. Then click on create. Okay, now give you access. At least viewer rights are required in order to access your report. Okay. Mm. Fine. So now it's created as a task report. Okay. So now you can go to your tempo because you have created as a task. When you select the checkbox, right? Let's go to the task. You can see COB, my task list. So when you select it, so for end user, it would be easy, right? Instead of 59 tasks, you can see one by one. You can see like this, simple. And you can click on whatever he wants to complete. It would be that much simple if you create a task reports. So this is very, very useful. Okay. And when you are using a sites also, this is required. That's what I have not explained about the site. Once this topic is done, one tomorrow topic is also done, then wizards also completed, then we'll see that. Okay. And you have a lot of examples on top of the task reports. In the community, they have given multiple examples. Sorry, someone is speaking. Okay. So you have lots of examples in your community. Just go to the community, click on search about the task report. You have lots of examples how to create the task reports and all you have. Let's see. And one more thing. And so you should understand here the main point is this one, the query process analytics. This is, remember the name is very, very important. So many people doesn't know, few people doesn't work on it. Still, you have to remember this, very, very important. What is the difference between query process analytics and query entity? Query entity return the data from the tables. Query process analytics, it will read the report. Okay. So on top of the report, you can write the query. Similarly, what you write into the entity. So you can also apply the filters and all you can do. Okay. So any questions on this, let me know and try to create. Yes. And one more thing, I've never tried in the design mode. Let's see here. If you have a pattern, search the pattern, you can drag and drop the pattern also, you'll get it. Got it? If you drag and drop in the pattern, if you drag and drop the task report without coding, you will get all these things. So if you go with expression, it will show you the dummy data and all how to create it. Here, the data we are giving it, so you should understand how it is. If you get a time, so how, see here, the report itself, they are just mapping with the dummy fields and all. Okay. But in our example, we got the report directly, right? So you can replicate, like you can remove the dummy data. Instead of that, you can use your own data. Okay. They are giving all the dummy data and same for each group and all returning one by one, they are displaying it. Okay. So that is also one example Appian has provided directly. Sorry. Okay. You can use from the patterns. There is an example they have added. Simple. Go to the patterns, search for task report. They have given an example. Just you can utilize that. Okay. Here, whatever the data we are getting, on top of it, we have created. In the task report example, they have given a sample data. So try to remove the sample data, try to use your report data, then you can get a practice on it. Clear? So that's what about task report, and we'll discuss about other reports. Then we'll go with the sites. So when you introduce about the site, then you can come to know what is the main difference between tempo and site, why we go for site, what is the importance of it. Clear?